Schaefer.
Here.
Trustee Grinberg. Here. Trustee Acker. Trustee Morton. Here. Trustee Hall. Here. And all present.
We have no reportable action to have a closed session. So the next thing we do is approve the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda that anybody would like to make? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Thanks, Charlie. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next thing is approving the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll move on to reports. And Emily is going to give us her final report. I mean, I think I could say without too much doubt that you've been the longest serving student trustee in the history of the district.
Okay. So in the interact sector of our school, we just had one of our Rotary luncheons. So about half of the interact club got to go have lunch with Rotary members and participate in one of their meetings. It was a lot of fun. We had a Joe Geiger who went to who I brought last year. He got to talk about his experience with the Rotary Club in Denmark and in Fort Bragg. It was really fun. Tomorrow there's a news thing that I'm going to do a small plug about, but what's really exciting is that one, the culinary class is preparing a meal at the high school, and a lot of the food that's going to be served, which is run by the agriculture class in Mendo. So just get to brag a little bit about all that's happening at the high school. We just finished last week beacon testing at the high school, which I know a lot of students are really grateful they're able to do at no cost. And it means a lot from all of the AP students that they have send an AP input. And lastly, I have that we, in the past month, so since I've seen you, I guess not since I've seen you last, but since I've given a report, we have finished our scholarship season, and on the 31st we get to have our scholarship night, and hear who won, and everyone gets awarded their scholarship. But just an extended community, how special it is that some people support fairly and just in terms of opportunity.
And do you want to publicly announce what you
For next year? Yeah, I'll be in Barnard in New York.
Okay, so we move on to Kim, who are principal of the night. Kim?
Yes.
You're going to be the first one. First one, yes, and everybody who's going to speak to us, stand on page X.
I strategically go there. Thank you for coming out. All right. All right, so starting out with happenings. We are quickly approaching the end of the school year. And one of the things that I would like to highlight is Annie Jr. It was a musical put on with 4th through high school age students, and if you didn't get a chance to see it, I'm so sorry because it was so well done. The kids did a great job. And I'd like to thank PTO and Site Council for helping fund the project, and Kim Bragg. She put a lot into it and hooked up with Lori on it and Lori Paul to create the performance. And it was just really well done. The kids had a great time with it. We had our high honor roll field trip. Students who earned a 3.8 or higher for semester and the third quarter were offered an opportunity to go to the Star Center. And sounds like they had a great time. We're in the middle of CAP testing. We're about halfway through. It takes us quite a few weeks to get through all 3rd through 8th graders in testing in English language arts and math. And this year the 5th and 8th graders piloted the online science version of the state test. So we're deep into that. Our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students first participated in a project-based learning week that culminated in presentations that I know some of you got to see. And it's something that we've been kind of working on over the years, and I've had some great conversations with teachers on how to make it better in the future. That's constantly one of the things we're working on. And so there were really good ideas discussed, and I look forward to hammering those details out a little bit more. We were offered the opportunity by Mendocino College again this year to award a 5th grade student with an adoptive 5th grader scholarship. The student who was selected gets a $1,000 scholarship to Mendocino College or a $500 scholarship to a different university or college that they attend. And then they also get a certificate and a $25 gift card, just kind of to sweeten the deal. So Ariana Miller has been chosen to be that student and will be presented with the certificate in front of the K-8 student body tomorrow at one of our assemblies. We completed some of the things that I've been reporting on over the course of the years, working on a K-8 writing assessment. So we did get together and implement one of the kindergarten through 8th grade, TK really, through 8th grade writing assessment. They all wrote about a common prompt and used the rubrics that teachers created and the writing subcommittee have been working on to evaluate the writing with. And teachers got together and chose anchor papers to show, this is a 1, this is a 2, 3, and 4, according to the rubrics. The writing subcommittee then got together and kind of evaluated the kind of process, how it went, what happened, things we need to work on for the future. Kinks that we're figuring out, we're going to meet again one more time before the end of the year, and then continue work on it next year as well. One of the other things that is not up here today, but today I will have the pleasure of visiting Mendocino School and watching the Aesop's Fables musical that happened out there. Kathy, wonderful job. It was a pleasure. It was so fun, and what a beautiful day to be out in Mendocino. So that was great too. We had the Chinese acrobats visit. We had a actually there are 2 different sessions, a K-5 assembly and a 6-8 assembly. And a troop of 4 acrobats came from China and performed feats of strength and flexibility. And it was just very fun to see our students' faces, having most of them not seen anything like this before and being able to be up and present with them. So that was a great experience for them. Things we're working on. Staffing. We've had some kind of last minute changes here at the end of the year, both classified and certificated staffing. So that's something we're kind of gearing up to work on. We have a couple different positions open, and so we will be working kind of late into the year to hire into those positions. Scheduling, we're working on scheduling for next year. Planning electives, looking at teacher schedules and kind of trying to nail down a preliminary run of our next year view. And then concentrating on remaining focused. The end of the year can often be hard between the end of the year trips, spring fever, and all the exciting things that are happening this time of year, and really focusing the students in the classrooms and the adults and trying to keep the train moving for a successful end of the year. So that's what I have for you today.
Questions? Comments? Kim, I know you'll be back later because you're going to give a report on
Yes.
I have a question.
your multi-year planning.
Sorry to interrupt. When might the board be able to see cross-section of writing anchor papers?
That's something that I can provide for you guys with our preliminary ones that we did. We might be changing into different anchor papers because some of the rubrics are going to be changed, and so we'll probably do that process again. But I can provide you guys with the signal that we picked this time. So, all right, back to Susan.
Jason, real fast.
All right, first and foremost, on behalf of the board and, of course, me, I'd like to thank Emily for serving as our student representative, and this is an air plant. I just found them. They're pretty cool. Very minimal care is needed, but we're hoping that can make the trip across the country to New York, and we expect you keep that in your dorm room or wherever. So anyway, thank you, Emily. You've done great. All right. I had the opportunity to see Annie as well, and I was going to mention that Kim and Lori Paul did an amazing job. In particular, I was just really impressed with the student voice in that play. Just students that are just so quiet and timid, I feel like here, not timid, but just mellow here, just on that stage as those orphans, just really let them have it. That's really cool. Our District of Choice Committee met just this past week, and we just talked a bit about our residency policy, our transfer policy, and then just talked about the future of the program in general. And just today, I received some pretty positive news about the District of Choice program at the state level. Still nothing concrete yet, but there's a chance that it might be kind of fit into the governor's bill for the budget, or the governor's budget at the last minute here. So we're hoping that something will happen for District of Choice coming next year.
As I read the things you passed out, it would be part of a trailer bill which occurred after the budget's adopted. So, the timeline for that is mid to late June. So it's not very reassuring as we go into the budget process. We won't be able to put those numbers into our projections. But as Jason said, it's a very encouraging thing we got from Bob Huff, who is who is a superintendent in Shoreline District, who has been sort of a point person in dealing with the State Department of Education.
So it's the best news we've had in probably a year about District of Choice. Also, our Wellness Committee had our final meeting of the year last week, and we went over the survey results of the cafeteria survey, so it was really interesting to see what parents and students thought of our cafeteria program and what they would like to see on the menu, why they weren't eating what they liked. So I'd like to, in June, I'm hoping to give a final summary of the work of the District of Choice and the Wellness Committees at the board meeting. We did a lot in our Wellness Committee. It was great. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that again, starting in the fall. Let's see. So we've recently formed a little new partnership, I guess, with the Mendocino Coast Writers Conference. They're looking for a home for their annual conference this summer, and we've agreed to let them use our building, this campus, August 3rd through 6th. And I'd like to thank Otto for his extra time and working with them. They're going to use like 8 classrooms plus the multi-purpose room during that week, and they've been great to work with, so it really feels good to have a good partnership there. I had the community parent LCAP meeting on May 10th. 2 people showed up, which was 2 more than last year, so that was exciting. We had a good discussion. Paul was there, and also a kindergarten parent. It was a really good discussion about our LCAP, and I felt good because I think she learned a lot about our school. And so if more people would come to those, they could learn a lot more about kind of the inner workings and why we do what we do. Finally, just really excited to see Jen and Montana here. Thank you for coming. The crowd has come out for you, obviously, right? So Jen and Montana are here. They're going to be speaking with us soon about their experiences at college, their freshman year. So welcome. Thanks for coming. Yep.
Okay. Does MTA have a report they want to give?
Yes, I'm going to keep it short and to the point because we have a lot of MTA members here that are hopefully going to jump in and share afterwards. But we're here because we really care about students, not just here tonight, a lot of us here tonight, but in general every day, because we really care about the students. It's not just our job, it's our passion. And we are really concerned with the decision that you guys came to regarding Albion School. We really value the small schools. We think they're a really important, special part of our district, and that we do need to preserve them. They offer a really unique opportunity for students and communities to kind of form their own learning centers. But we are in this unique situation where we're looking at 4 students at best. And pedagogically speaking, we just don't think that that is sound for our classroom. It doesn't provide students with like a really rich learning environment where they have leadership opportunities or where they get to team with one another. It just doesn't have enough other peer engagement happening. And so we are just hoping that you guys will reconsider. I know it's back on the agenda, and we are backing the proposal that Jason put forward. We know he put a lot of research into it and a lot of thought, asked all kinds of interested parties, and as teachers, we're supporting his proposal and are hoping that you guys will make a motion to look at that again and change your minds. And if that doesn't happen, failing a change, we would like to know, I talked to Charlie extensively, and he was talking about kind of a build it and they will come model. And that makes us nervous in terms of build it and how many will come and when they need to be here by. So I'm getting very emotional. We're really nervous about it. It's too late to wait until the first day of school and say, okay, well, we don't have enough students. We have 2 students, we have 3 students, we have 4 students, that's not enough. It's not fair to the teacher who you are either hiring to take on that role, or more likely the teacher that you're pulling out of our schools and putting there, that you need to know ahead of time. Like, there should be a date beforehand that, by the end of the school year or before you start interviewing, because the job is posted and people can apply for the job now. So, yeah, we're looking for a number of how many students is enough students that it really is viable. 4 is not. And then a date for when you would, if that's not the number that we have, that you would reconsider.
I think we'll have a chance to hear a lot of people on that item when we bring it up later in the agenda. Is there anybody from CMIS who would like to speak tonight? Okay, board trustee reports. In spirit.
I don't have a lot to report. I appreciate what you said. Maybe it's definitely been on my mind a lot since our first meeting. It's interesting, I know the immense amount of support from the Albion residents, and then the large amount of opposition from the teachers, mostly here in town. And I find we're in a challenging position to try and find a common ground. I guess I really appreciate the letter that Charlie wrote. I assume you all saw that. And his points about similar happenings at the Elk School. And I guess I come back around and I just really feel a strong commitment to the outlying schools. And I appreciate their question for what's the number, and I don't really have an answer to that. I just come back to trying to figure out how we can keep them open, because I think it's an integral part of our district. And I have a lot of other things I'm looking forward to weighing in on, but I feel like that's the pressing matter from this now. Leave it at that.
A couple things. First of all, just a general reaction to the last board meeting. I was delighted, happy to have members of the Albion community come up to me after the board meeting, come up to me in Harvest Market, and these are people who were opposed to my point of view, and they thanked me for my opinion, and that's the way I want democracy to work. It's not the way it's working right now. It's not on the East Coast. I was just pleased with how that meeting was run by Michael, and I was pleased with the respect and care shown by the audience in expressing their opinions, and that was good. I appreciate that. Michael and I, 2 weeks ago, Mimi invited the board to come and visit the school, and it's one of the things we graded ourselves down on our self-evaluation, that we hadn't been doing that. So Michael and I took her up on it 2 weeks ago, and started the day here in the morning in the TK1 with yoga, which I thought was great. There's not enough physical activity in classrooms. Mine was one of the worst. And we know from research now that physical activity is what really develops the brain in many ways. There's this special thing called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and you only get it when you move. And kids don't move enough. So it was great to see the day start that way. We didn't get around to every room. There wasn't time. We had a fascinating discussion about addition algorithms, I think it was, in the 2-3. And we talked to is it SEALs or TIDES now? TIDES teacher. And for a while, and watched a fascinating discussion in the 7-8 history class about whether the Dark Ages were actually dark. That was fascinating. We went on to the high school and visited a math class, visited the greenhouse, visited the robotics classroom, and then went over to the art center where there was a jewelry making class in process. And one thing that really stood out for me, kids were behaved all day long. Partly because we were in there. The kids in that class were so intent on what they were doing. It just reminded me how important it is, number one, project-based learning. That when kids are doing a project, they're focused, they're motivated, it makes a big difference in their education. And number two, every kid in every grade should be doing something with their hands. And I don't mean their thumbs alone. So much of kids' time today is spent with 2 thumbs on the screen, and seeing the robotics classroom and the greenhouse and seeing kids making jewelry, it reminded me how important it is to give kids a lot of experience doing things with their hands. We had lunch at the community school, and my concern about social media and kids was heightened again. I think it's something we need to address. There certainly is concern among the staff. That's a topic for another day, but it was a great day. I hope I didn't steal everything. But that's me, that's what I have.
Charlie?
Yeah, so I was, of course, I was at the Albion meeting, and I'll reserve my comments when it comes to the agenda. But other than that, I did attend the Wellness Committee, and it's a wonderful group of parents and staff members that seem very concerned about. We're mostly talking about the cafeteria issues, and of course we did this earlier. And I brought to it something I brought to not the Albion meeting, but the meeting we had at the high school class, which was the listing of glyphosate and how that might affect our food choices. And so I'm keen on having another look at the wellness policy and making some worthwhile comments on that as it comes around. And then the other thing, I was invited to Mimi's math class, and we talked about what my work is, which is waterworks, and we used the example of a water tank for the students to learn the geometric configurations and how to measure the area of a circle, circumference, the volume of the tank, how many square feet are on the outside of it. Everything we could think of that had to do with math concerned with the water tank. And of course, Waterworks has all kinds of math in it, and that's just the sort of elementary. And we did touch a little bit of a tricky one when we were looking at the formula for figuring out the surface area of a cone, which gets into square roots and things like that. So that was a, thank you, Mimi. That this is the third time I think I've done it, and it's so rewarding. You know how to get up there.
Jessica?
No, nothing to report.
Okay. Well, two of the things I was going to talk about, other people have talked about. I will add on the comp sheet performance of Aesop's Fables. One of the things that was particularly interesting to me was the number of preschool kids who came in with their parents to watch their older siblings perform, and how quiet and mesmerized everybody is in those kinds of performances. And the kindergarten and third graders did a great job, and their younger siblings were as good in being quiet in the audience. So that was excellent. I think the only thing Mark left out of the tour that we took was the dance class that we went to in the gym. Another way of physical activity, and they were doing an aerobics series of activities that leadership changed, and that's one of the things that I saw a lot in starting in the kindergarten, first grade, that everybody gets a chance to be a leader, everybody gets a chance to be a follower. And these are the kinds of important values that we just take as a normal part of the school day. And thirdly, Jason and I went to the MECA meeting, which is where people from all the educational agencies on the coast get together once every 2 months and had some good discussions about especially special ed, and we're hoping that next fall we can maybe have a joint meeting with the Fort Bragg Unified Board and have presentations about SELPA and SELPA funding from MCOE. And that's all I have to say. So we'll go on to the graduates. I think if you come up here and stand by the gray X over here, and Jason,
Sure.
yeah, Newsom?
Yeah, so we have Jen and Montana here from back from college. There's an X right there. So we didn't. I didn't get a chance to kind of prep you with some questions. So I have some questions though that Jessica and I talked about, and so really we want to know, just essentially, how was your freshman year? And I'll ask you kind of all the questions that I'm going to throw you. And then we're wondering, what did we do well here in this district and at Mendocino High School to prepare you for your freshman year or for college in general? What surprised you? What are some things that you weren't prepared for? And what advice would you give an incoming senior at Mendocino High School next year and an incoming freshman? So I guess we'll start as just a general, how was your freshman year and where are you?
Oh, I'm at Santa Barbara City College, and it was a good year. I'm good.
I'm at Berkeley, and it had its ups and downs. I mean, overall, it was a solid year. I really did. I do like Berkeley, and I enjoy being there, but definitely a roller coaster throughout the year. And I'll explain with my answers to the questions.
All right, so what do you think what do you think we prepared you well for here in this district?
I think, socially, I think I was prepared really well. I think going to a small school, gave me, made me comfortable approaching teachers and, asking questions and just, being forward with people about, what you need in a classroom. And just, being close with people in your classroom, I guess, I was, also prepared for. Also going to a small school, you're so close to everyone, that you're sitting next to, you're not scared to ask people questions. I don't know, I feel like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that, I didn't have a problem going to office hours really,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't really approach my professors, but my GSIs, which are like TAs, I wouldn't have a problem asking questions or asking for help or going to the Student Learning Center for tutoring.
Yeah.
But also, I really feel that people from Mendo are just more wholesome in a way. I don't know, I've just met a lot of people who are great people, love them, but it's just, we're really well-rounded, and I'm not sure if, that's just kind of the way all my friends are raised, and it's just the way it is, I don't know. That's what I feel.
Good answer. So what surprised you? What were some things that you feel like you weren't necessarily prepared for?
There's like people like outside of Mendocino. So many people, like all kinds of people, like just there's like so many people and so many young people, like we lived in a small area and like I lived in Isla Vista and that's a small area, but it's all young people and everyone's young and like, everyone's kind of going through the same thing that you are, everyone's just figuring it out. It's not like everyone's your parents' age or older, it's like you actually like you go to places and there's people like all your age, which is like awesome and like really cool, and people from all around the world and like just like people from outside of Northern California and like I don't know, just so many different kinds of people. And what else surprised me? Like I don't know, just fending for yourself, I guess, that surprised me, because like here you have like such a supportive community, like everyone, and everyone's kind of like mama and a papa, like, and they all help you out, but like you go away and like you don't know anyone, like you have to do everything on your own, and there's not this like amazing supportive group of older people who are like, kind of gonna coach you the way through, everyone is just kind of thrown into it, like, I don't know what I'm doing, so, I don't know, that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I agree with that, the diversity, definitely. A lot of my friends, or all of my friends are from big high schools, and there was a lot of things from Mendo that I never thought of, I never gave it a second thought, but that they found so surprising. Like, I told them we put our backpacks in the hallways and leave them, or we didn't have locks in our lockers. They're like, what do you mean? Or what do you mean you don't call your parents by Mr. and Mrs.? I was like, I thought that was just like old time thing, but what else? Was it just
What surprised you?
Well, I mean, yeah, how about, so what things did you feel like you weren't necessarily prepared for, or
so I did well my freshman year academically, but that's because I switched out of my biology major right away, and I no longer pre-med because I honestly just feel like I couldn't hang with the kids. I mean, I think that the classes I had here, like my calculus, my chemistry, my physics, my biology, where I learned all the stuff, and like the curriculum I was given was, fun for just like high school level, but I just couldn't compete with the kids who took the AP classes, the AP or the honors classes, because people would take chemistry, but then the next year they'd take AP chemistry. And so when I enrolled in my chemistry class, I couldn't hang with the kids who had taken 2 years of chemistry plus some and done the tutoring and stuff. So I just, becoming like a doctor was not really feasible. It's kind of rough.
I thought like, I don't know, like here, like in Mendocino, like with the teachers and everything, like, everyone's so well that like, say you missed an assignment or you're like not able to get it in on time, like it's not that big of a deal, It's like, everyone like, yeah, like you have to stick, like you have to have your stuff together and everything, but like you're able to not like be in huge trouble if you don't turn something in like on time, or maybe it's a little late, but like in college, like it's like bad if you don't turn it in, like if you don't turn it in, like you can't ever turn it in. It's not like you can just be like, yeah, like I'm just gonna stop by your house on Little Lake and like turn in my project, It's like, no, like that's not the way it works. Like you have to actually like stick to a schedule and not just like think that because everyone's so well that you're gonna get away with more things, I guess.
all right, nice job. So you guys are doing great. How about some advice that you would give to an incoming senior and an incoming freshman?
Wait, an
Incoming senior at Mendocino High School next year, so.
And then an incoming freshman in college?
No, at Mendocino High School.
Oh, at Mendocino, oh, okay. Incoming senior, I would say to an incoming senior in high school, it's okay if you don't have like this, like, you know, head-on plan of like what you're doing in life, because it's totally okay to just kind of float around and not like know like what college you're going to and not know, you know, like what your career is gonna be, and it's okay to go to city college and like, you know, just kind of work it out, because like everybody is in a different spot. You know, there's going to be those people that like are going to go to a 4-year and they have their career and they have everything planned out, and then there's those people who just have nothing planned out, and that's okay if you're that person, because you have your whole life to like figure out your schooling. You don't have to go right into college, you know, like you're going to live for a while hopefully, and so you have like your whole life to plan all this out, and it's okay if you don't have it all together right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I thought I had it totally planned out, and like I've changed my major 15 times already. And so, I mean, just to a senior who's, you know, applying to colleges and everything, no matter where they would go, they're gonna have a great time. I know I had a few friends who the first semester, they were super homesick, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna transfer and stuff. But then as time progressed, they really just kind of found their groove, and it happens to everybody. They find their groove, and then they love it. They make friends. They find the path that they want to go, and it just all works out, basically.
Also, take advantage of the community that you're in, because you have such a like supportive community of people here who are like here to help you. You know, like everyone here is here to help you like get on and out of Mendo or stay in Mendo. You know, so definitely like take advantage of all this, like all these supportive adults who like have actually done all this stuff just like you. You know, like go ask them questions and like go approach people and like go approach people in your community who you feel comfortable with talking to, and just ask them questions.
Yeah, seniors all the time are just, oh, I want to get out of here. I can't wait to get out of here. But you have no idea how easy you have it in Mendo. You shouldn't take it for granted. I was so homesick for the first 2 weeks, and I mean, after like the 2 weeks and I changed my major and everything, it like worked out. But I always miss Mendo, because Mendo is honestly just the best place to grow up to, and you really are just given everything. You're the best community. You're so supported by everybody. So yeah, I mean, like everyone wants to get out, but
Yeah. Don't rush
right
it.
here.
Yeah.
Freshman.
Freshman. Oh, I barely like even remember what it was.
You go to class, you are nice to your teachers, and you do the work and turn it on time. It's really not that hard. Like some people make it so much harder than it is.
Yeah, you're fine. Like freshman year is not that bad. You're fine. Like it's scary and everything, you know, like first year, but like you'll be fine. Like, yeah.
High school was, you can make your high school experience the best, or you can choose for, I don't know, like it's really how you make it and how you approach your high school experience.
Yeah.
And if you just have fun and go into it, just don't make any trouble.
Yeah, I think like also like when you're a freshman, it's kind of like when you start building like those people that you're gonna hang out with for the rest of the 4 years. So just make good decisions about the people that you hang out with, because you're gonna be with those people all 4 years. You know, you're gonna be with each other filling out college applications and helping each other figure out where to go and helping each other with school and all of that. So just, I don't know, choose the right people to hang out with.
Don't make beef with teachers, because you have them
For 4 years.
People try to start things, but
Yeah. Don't create drama, because the people, like, it's Mendo, like, no one leaves, you know? Like, you're here, like, with the same people for 4 years, the same people. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Be kind to everyone. Don't create drama.
don't get open campus
Taken away. Yeah, definitely. Go to class, do your homework, you know, all that kind of
Go to
stuff.
prom for 4 years.
Yeah, go to prom for 4 years, definitely.
Because other high schools only get 2 years sometimes, or just 1 year, so 4 years. Wonderful to find.
This has been great. We should do this more often. Yeah, please. Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
So, can you think of anything in the school district that, whether high school or any point that we can do to better prepare students for
maybe like a little more coaching on how to do like applications for stuff and just like filling out forms and like just filling out and like adult stuff. Like, because adult stuff is like kind of hard. And it's like, yeah, it's just hard and tricky and like, I don't know, like, yeah.
I agree with that, definitely. I mean, when you first asked me to come here and speak how academically it prepared me, my initial thought was, oh my gosh, like I'm so behind, I feel so academically disadvantaged. And then I was like, oh, we need more AP classes. But then I was talking to some of my other friends, and it was such a good point that if we did have all these AP classes, I don't feel like I would be the person I am coming from Mendo, just so well-rounded and stuff. I'm surrounded by geniuses all the time. But I was in the dining hall the other day, and there was this person who I'm sure like took AP physics and did all that, and she was making toast in the toaster, and then took a metal fork. And I was like, please stop, and she had no idea what she was doing. It's just like there's just some things that, just not there. But I don't know. I'm not saying if I had more AP classes, I wouldn't know to work in a toaster, but it's just the kind of, I don't know, we just got different experiences, that a lot of kids have. Because I know one of my friends, he said that he started SAT tutoring when he was in 2nd grade, but then he never did the soccer or the baseball when he was little, which, we did my slides and soccer, which is awesome, and just those memories that he'll never have. But he'll have SAT scores that are great, but I mean, which one would you rather have? I don't know.
So was there a cool factor being from Mendocino?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone thinks it's crazy. Like when you tell them, they're like, oh yeah, I went to a small school, Like my class was 500 people or whatever, and I'm like, well, my school was 200. So. And they're like, what? Yeah.
People are very intrigued with Mendo. Just the way I try to
I feel like
describe
it's like a question. Like everyone's like, what is that place?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, yeah.
They really think that I live in a tent, but I live
Everyone lives in teepees, they use electricity, and
I told them I had a well, and they're like, the one with you crank?
Any other questions?
Awesome.
There was.
I think you are both so impressive. I mean, I think that we were lucky to have you tonight. I hope that YouTube clip goes viral. It was really entertaining. You guys came up there and it was like you practiced for a long time. Made that so clear, feeding off each other's comments and just very well done. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Okay, our next item is discussion of the educational program next year at the Albion. And Jason has...
Sure. So, there were a number of concerns this past couple weeks, and I thought that it would be beneficial to have it on the agenda to explain kind of what's happened so far and kind of what the process is. And I don't really have that much, but I will let people know that the position has been advertised. It's a K-3 teacher. Has been advertised, regular K-3 teacher. It's been advertised on EdJoin as well as the local papers. The plan is to have it closed on June 2nd. So a decision can be made before the end of the school year. I think it's important to have something in place by the end of the school year. The other option is to transfer a teacher, a current teacher at the K-8 school who is credentialed for multiple subject K through 3, K through 6. We have those possibilities, but then it needs to be said that transferring a teacher would save money because we're not hiring another teacher, but that means it's an immediate cut in program because that teacher is doing something here at the K-8 school, whether it's already in a classroom that we'd have to transfer someone else into their classroom, or special ed, RTI, English learners. So either way, if we do transfer someone, which is a possibility, that does translate into a cut in program unless we fill that position. So that's kind of where we are. I guess that's all I really had to say, kind of the plan going forward.
So I know that a lot of you came to speak to this issue, and some of you opposed the decision that the board made at our special meeting, and some of you support it. We spent 3.5 hours at that meeting. I'd rather not spend 3.5 hours right now on this discussion. So at the same time, I don't want to limit anybody's opportunity to speak, but what I would encourage perhaps is if whoever is self-designated and comes up and speaks first, as soon as when they're finished, I will say, how many people agree with this person? And anybody who agrees with that person can stand. And then I will say, if you have additional things on that same line, you can still have an opportunity to speak, but please don't repeat what's already been said. And I'll say that, on both sides of the issue, and hopefully we will have a kindly and open discussion about the options and see what happens.
Can I just say one more thing before that? So we received notice today that there was one more parent who was intending to enroll at Albion School. They had initially indicated that they would only attend if it was a Montessori school. And so that number, so we're aware of, just so everyone knows, of 5 students. I want to make sure that was known.
So if someone would like to be first and go up by where Marshall has put a taped X on the floor, then
I don't want to go first. I'm wondering, are you going to stop at 6 o'clock though for a comment on something that's not to do with this?
But if we haven't finished by then, yes, I'll stop at 6 o'clock.
Next marks the spot.
Next marks the spot.
Hi, Pamela Duncan, Mendocino K-8, and I would like you to reconsider the vote. I feel just like Mimi did. I think it's pedagogically not sound to have 4 or even 5 students in a school. I also think it's not fiscally responsible to spend that much money on so few students. So I really like it.
Okay, as I said, anybody who agrees with what was just said, please stand. That's why you don't have to come and quite a few people in accord with that. Okay. So in the interest of continuing on, anybody who wants to add to that with specific comments, please come up, and Kathy, you can be first.
Hi, I'm Kathy Jackson. I'm the teacher at Comchi. This is my 2nd year there. And if 2 years ago, about this time of year when I was interviewing for that job, this is my dream job. I love my job. But if I would have been told there was only going to be 5 students, I would have withdrawn my application. I think it's a disservice to kids to have a school with just 5 kids at it. Children are going to develop independence. I'm afraid teachers are going to be become helicopter teachers. I talk with my aides all the time about just because there's 3 of us here doesn't mean we should be helping kids all the time. They need to learn to do things for themselves. If the situation was reversed and this was happening at Comchi right now, I would support closing the school as much as I love my job, because I think it would be a disservice to have Comchi School open with just 5 students. And I urge you to reconsider your decision. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
We're high school teacher. First, I just want to say sorry because I know that community members have contacted some of you individually in a really negative way, and I don't think that's fair. You're just volunteering your time doing this, and so I'm really sorry that you had to deal with that. What I want to say is that I know you have a hard responsibility here, but you need to think of not just the interests of one small community within our larger community, but the fact that there are Albion students at the high school enrolled in programs that, we might not have funding for if the school stays open. In biology, we talk about limiting factors in finances. We don't have unlimited money. We don't have unlimited of any resource. And so it's thinking about if we pour those resources into the Albion School for such a small group of students, think about the culinary program, horticulture, multimedia, art, chorus. Where does that money come from? RTI, all these things that we offer students choices at the high school now, the K-8 school. What are they going to do? We're going to tell them, hey, sorry, we had this awesome program for you, but now it's gone. Now you go back to your core classes, and we know these students don't do well in those core classes. Put it back in that college track where we're trying to expand options for our students. We're doing disservice to the majority of students in our district if we just focus on the needs of a few individuals rather than the whole community. Thank you.
Mark, before you get up,
I agree with what you said.
I think I'm going to try to balance pro and con a little bit here. So if someone would like to speak on the opposing point of view and come forward.
Would it be all right if I wasn't exactly pro or con?
Sure.
Because I think that's a real dangerous kind of place we're getting ourselves into, where we're starting to divide sides, and you'll all be Democrats and I'll be a Republican, and that sort of thing. It's not a good way to figure out what we're doing. First of all, I want to say I'm really proud to see those young women here. It really says what the Mendocino School District is doing, and that I'm very, very encouraged about. I've been very involved in the Albion School I've been involved in school in Albion since the 70s, and with the Albion School since we decided that we really wanted to have a school in Albion. And a group of people from Albion spent a lot of time over a number of years and raised a lot of money to build that school, and it's a wonderful school building, and the whole district should be proud of the facility that we have there. I really appreciate the time you all took in Albion. It was 3.5 hours, and it was very obvious that there was no good solution. Certainly, if you're thinking inside the box and you're constrained by all the things that an organization like this is constrained by. And I appreciate that that's work to try and figure something out. I do want to remind us, though, that we're in this together. Just as those young women said, there's a big world out there and there's all kinds of stuff. We don't need to fight among ourselves. We need to figure out if there's a way to meet the needs of the outlying communities, and those like Albion. I'm sorry we missed a few years and didn't have a bunch of kids. We've been having a lot of kids in Albion ever since I've been there, and I'm sure it'll happen again. And I appreciate you all taking the time to look at this, and appreciate the time you took last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So I guess I'll ask people to stand in their support of what Bill said. Okay, I'm going to have another speaker. Sure, go ahead.
I agree. I put the issue in the area of a multifaceted puzzle to be solved by the whole community. And there was times, many years, that the Albion School made money for the rest of the kids. A lot of money. And nobody talked about, stopping programs here. The district numbers were going down. That's how it was. So I think of this. I think you made a decision. I think we should stick with the decision until we see that it won't work. I don't want to play programs against each other. That's not the way to solve a problem in a district this size. No matter which classroom has 25, needs 25, and which classroom needs 15, and which classroom needs 5 or 10. We don't know, we actually do not know the numbers of kids that will be there, and we don't know because we need to see what teacher applies, and people will apply without knowing. I absolutely actually was told that very recently by someone who knows none of us. I don't know her. She told me she wanted to apply, but she didn't want to apply if it wasn't, up to actually apply for, and then find out. People get pink slips all the time. It's very common in school districts that people don't know what's going to happen and decide later. I'm not saying that's the best thing, but it's common. This particular issue of the Albion School and the projected enrollment this year, after there were 23 when I was there 2 years ago helping, and there were blah, blah, blah numbers all these years, is not a unique and different problem. If we support the three outlying schools and this school, let's just do that, continue trying to make it all work. When it doesn't work, we can say, oh, we can't make it work this year. I mean, yeah, and I do not see it I don't want it to be bad. I don't want it to become bad, let me put it that way. That's a waste of everybody's energy. So what are the other pieces? Educationally, it's been 40 years that we've been talking about, well, how many kids should be in which outlying schools? Well, why should they be there? Oh, because there's more money if we bring them to Mendocino, or oh, because there's more money if we keep them in Copsey. Well, it looks like we're not deciding that way. It looks like we can actually decide based on education. And yes, education with 5 kids in the whole school with all those 2 rooms probably isn't the best possible thing. But we did talk without settling yet about younger kids and older kids and special programs of all kinds, not just Montessori. So if there is a will, I'd just like to look at the problem more closely, everybody together, really. And if there are other problems in the district, I'd like to know about them because I didn't enter in any place in the last, 4 or 5 years, 6 years. Thanks.
Thank you. More back stuff, you coming forward, would you like to speak now? Or go to?
Sure, yeah. My name is Mark Houghton. I'm the K-8 teacher for the district. I teach in Compton, Albion, and the Mendocino School here. And I have for 10 years. I taught in Elton before it was closed. I've worked with many, many teachers in those sites and many kids. And I have to tell you that throughout my time here in Mendocino that has been the best part of my job. Compton and Albion now really are my favorite assignments. I love going out there. I look forward to it. And you're not going to find a teacher who's a stronger advocate for small schools than me. And I agree with the gentleman earlier who said that we don't need to be divisive here because I really think that this argument has become defensively framed into a for or against small schools way. I think there's enough defensiveness in politics in our country and in our community these days. What I think we should all step back and let me say, I a lot to say, sorry, but I'll keep it short. I really respect your decisions. I really respect you guys all stepping up, and I know you've stepped into something really big right from the start, and it can't be easy, and I know you're being bombarded with people with all sorts of different perspectives, and I respect that and appreciate that. I really do. However, with the recent decision, I think were we to spend that much money per student, Ivy League prices for this, we're not giving them an Ivy League level of an experience. It is too small. The last 3 times I've taught in Albion, there's been 4 or 5 kids there. They did great, it was great work, but it was an echo chamber. There's something dead, there's something missing there. It's more than just empty. It's really not what they need, from my perspective. And I think anybody who's taught in small settings like that would say exactly the same thing. Educators are stepping up about this situation, as you pointed out earlier, Minister, because we have the experience, we see it. And I want those schools to stay open. I really do. I want Elk to reopen when it makes sense. Right now, we're facing a firestorm coming in the budget. We know this. Hopefully the good news is going to work out, but we can't count on that. Really, really big changes are coming to our district. And if we can save for just 1 year, that $120,000, it really, really, really makes sense. And the second it's back up again, I'll be up here yelling at everybody over here to get the place open again. I promise I will. Thank you very much. Thanks, Laura.
Sean, do you want to speak?
Well, I have something not on the,
Okay, I'll
that's the 6 o'clock.
suspend this item and we'll go to our parent community comment at 6 o'clock. Items not on the agenda within the jurisdiction spot may be addressed at this time. 3-minute time limit set for the speaker. So Shanti.
I relates to this, but I just feel like I'm coming with maybe a possible solution to all this craziness. You're a board, we're a district made up of policies. Why can't we have a policy that just very simply states, outlying schools, there's a certain number of students that are required for them to be open. There's a certain state of, a financial state that the district should be in for them to stay open. And I'm as it relates to any outlying school, not just Albion. It just seems to me that it's kind of, I know it's not that simple, but it seems to me like now would be a good time to possibly create some kind of board policy so that every time population numbers ebb and flow, it's very clear that it's not any one of those things, but maybe it's a combination of those things. So maybe there are a small amount of students, but the district's flush with money, so then it's okay to keep a small school open. I don't know what that would look like, but it just seems to me like it's time for the district to come up with some kind of policy, because I feel like I've been asking the same question since the Elk School closed, however many years ago that was, for a number. And I just think that it would really help everybody here to have some set of guidelines to go by, because then we kind of know what to expect. We'd say, okay, well, there's 3 kids, so obviously there's 3 kids. The financials don't look good for the future, so it's this isn't going to happen. So anyways, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak on a non-agenda item under parent community comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll go back to where we were with discussion about the Albans. Is there anybody who has a point that has not been raised so far that would like to speak? Sure, Mark? Yeah, no. All right, so there you go, Mark.
We, the undersigned, are concerned members of the Mendocino Unified School District who urge the Board of Trustees to rescind the prior board motion made on May 8, 2017 by the trustee to keep Albion School as is for the 2017-18 fiscal year and vote to accept superintendent's recommendation. The role of the Board of Trustees is to work together with the superintendent to make decisions that will best serve all students in the community. Having read Superintendent Morris' recommendation, we feel it is not fiscally responsible nor in the best interest of the entire MUSD student body to keep the Albion School open for fiscal year 2017-18.
I'm not sure how many of these people are here, but if people want to stand in support of what Sarah said and say they would say the same thing. Additional comments? Was a woman in the back who said she wanted to speak?
I just wanted to, yeah.
Yep, come on in.
I think an important component of the recommendation.
Identify yourself.
Erin Casito, sorry. I wanted to add that an important component of that recommendation is the feasibility study that I think would benefit the community out in Albion, any outlying school as well. I think it's very important to go out and reach out to those communities, do the research, find out exactly what the needs and wants are, hire that consultant to get out there, do the groundwork, and come back and possibly, set that ground number, that baseline that, states for future generations, this is the threshold that we can bear.
I see a hand raised. Let's probably speak, please.
Christy Olson, I have 2 kids in K-8 in high school. I suspect this came up at the Albion meeting, which I wasn't at, but I'm guessing that a lot of the priorities for wanting to keep the school open involve the peripheral roles that a school plays in a community. And additionally, the fear that if it is closed, can we count on it being reopened? And I just want to suggest that I think there are probably other possible ways to deal with those 2 concerns that would be less damaging to the district than keeping the school open with so few kids. I suspect there are other ways to ensure that the community has that center of community life, and that there are probably ways to reassure the Albion community that the school will be open when there are more students. So I would just suggest addressing those concerns separately from, how are we going to educate these 4 or 5 kids?
Thank you. So anybody else would like to add to the conversation?
So my name's Alexis. I'm one of the parents of the children that is currently attending Albion School. This has been a major issue for our whole community. We're kind of heartbroken at the idea of losing our school, and we have worked really hard to have a beautiful facility for our kids. I think had we been dealing with this issue earlier, we would have the population and the students possibly to come in. I think the fact that we don't have a teacher has been a very big issue. How can you get parents to sign up their kindergartners if they don't know who's coming in to teach them? My son has benefited hugely from the small education that he has received at the Albion School, and I just want to put out there that I think it's an amazing facility that our whole district benefits from. I see the fiscal restraint, but I think that the issue with closing it down next year might be that we lose those 2 kindergartners coming in, and then we're never going to get our population back up. Things go up and down. What we as a community and the ad hoc committee had talked a lot about was building something that's sustainable, that will bring people in, be it some sort of Montessori, some sort of alternative education that could get a reverse commute so that when our population dips, our school doesn't close. And that's beneficial for the kids that come to this school that don't click into the bigger environment. I mean, hard to call Mendocino big, but if there is somebody that would do better in that multi-grade level learning situation here, they could come to Albion if there was something that made it a little bit more unique. And that's kind of where our brainstorm power had gone through lots of the ad hoc meetings. So I just want to put it out there that I see the fiscal disadvantages, but I also see the fact that if we close the school, the possibility of it reopening like happened in Elk is very slim. And that just becomes a really sad issue for our community. Right or wrong, I don't know where to go with it, but I just wanted to put it out there that when we do close, it will be hard to reopen.
Thank you. Ryan?
I would just like to speak on behalf of the future teacher at the Albion School. I was hired here in 1998, and I was not told that the district was in declining enrollment. And at the end of the year, they said, you'll probably be laid off because you were the last one hired. And thankfully, my principal at the time said, there's no way that's going to happen. We'll find something. And they did. But I don't know if things would have changed, and I'm glad the way they worked out. I got a little lucky there. But I'm not sure that I would be here if I was told that there was a chance that you would be losing your job
I'm not sure I would have moved down from Washington all the way down here to take a job that wasn't going to be there the following year. So I would just advocate for who's ever interviewing this person, that possibility is put out there.
My name is Olivia Spencer, and I'm an Albion mom. There were several things working to our disadvantage on keeping our school open. Those include the district of choice money being lost by the district, having our teacher retire, and the projected low enrollment, which people are really attaching to, 3 students, 5 students. I wish that as soon as Superintendent Morse knew, or the district knew, that Suzanne was going to be retiring and that we had 3 students coming for the next year, that's when the ad hoc community was formed. Several of us have been working really hard for 3.5 months to find this student population because we're really attached to having our kids go to school where we live. We like the one-room schoolhouse. And I can't stand here and not say that I'm not disappointed in a lack of motivation or knowledge or activism, because obviously that's what it takes to keep something like this happening. I did not feel like the district was supportive from the beginning, in that it was always put out there, like the first Beacon article was, Albion School, 3 students. And it's like, everybody's attached to that and doesn't want to support us, but I never really felt like it was like, help us keep Albion School open. Who are you? Where are you? We need you. Why wasn't that person hired last year when we had projected low enrollment? It feels like we're a burden to the district, and everybody, not everybody, but many just want to cut off that arm because of the burden and the financial difficulties that we're facing. But if we don't have support and we're not inclusive of our outlying schools, we are going to lose them, and we're just going to turn into the capitalist regime that is taking over our planet. And I want to remind you guys that many of us are landowners, and we pay taxes to be a part of, to support this school district, and that we will someday be benefiting from coming to school in Mendocino. But I, as an Albion mom and a mother of a small child, would like to benefit from my tax dollars this year. However, my kid's not a kindergartner. He's a preschooler, and many of the kids in Albion are preschoolers. So I'd like to ask the board to keep brainstorming, keep talking, and think about a solution. I was okay with Jason Morse's proposal to suspend the K through 3rd because of the low enrollment, but I don't want to see those school doors close. I am nervous about the school not opening again. I am nervous about different entities coming in and us not returning to a school or having that facility. I would really, I guess that's all.
Anne-Marie.
I sent you guys the updated list as of today. We have 14 preschoolers interested to come to Albion. We have 7 school-age children interested to come to Albion. And yes, some of them might want to wait until they know who the teacher is. And yes, some of them would prefer that it is a Montessori setting. But I want to just back up a little bit, because I was also one of the people who made the school happening. It took 8.5 years. It took 1.3 million. It took a lot of community efforts and money. And unfortunately now, even though we still have 3 small necessary schools, and of all the schools in California, there may be about 10 of them left that are small schools, and we have 3 of them right here. Unfortunately, the Elk School is not a school, but fortunately, there has been a creative way found to offer preschool there. And in Albion, by allowing 5 children to come into Mendocino March a year ago, it was becoming clear that it might be a problem down the road. And so much time has passed until the community was informed the end of March. And as others have said, we've worked very hard. There's always been some people in this community who felt that the children at the K-8 school are not getting enough, not enough resources, not enough money, not enough because of some of these outlining schools. And it's also reflected in the survey. There are people who still believe these schools should be closed and sold, and so there would be more to go around for other sites. I am dismayed that it's out in the news and among the teachers union that we have 3 children or 4 children, when our proposal was to have a viable setting which would include a preschool and a school setting. So yes, I agree, 3 children, if all 3 are absent the same day and the teacher is there, that's not the idea of a viable setting. We were working with Jason Morse, the superintendent. We heard one figure of 10 being what financially would work, then the figure changed to 12. There's another way to look at it, what is educationally working. There are teachers who are credentialed, who are qualified, who would be willing to teach, who might not move in from the outside and expecting to be able to afford a property here and settle down here and live happily ever after and teach ever after. There are people who are willing to support the community. There's an aide who wants to teach. We have people qualified in early childhood. We have people qualified to deal with preschool. You need to give us more time. You made that decision after we've waited for May 8th to have a decision by the board. We've been meeting since the end of January, and the moment the decision is made, the teachers union and the community, some of the people in the community are saying, oh, reverse, reverse. And the district has not even advertised. We advertised, but we advertised Montessori school. And we were told by the school board member, well, give us numbers, give us numbers. We've had those same numbers all along, but these numbers aren't trusted, and yes, maybe people change their mind. Maybe people show up the first day of school and they say, here are my children. And you all know that that's happened in the past, and especially maybe in sites like Comchi and Elk and Albion. Pardon me?
Which will get you to conclusion.
My conclusion is I'm begging the community not to start in a tug of war, but to give time at least until the deadline of the application, and to keep ask people, would you enroll? Unless people know it's a possibility, they're not going to come forward. Thank you.
Is there anybody who wants to add?
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. My name is Kamala Mangini. I'm one of the parents at Albion School. And I have a 3rd grader who really wants to stay at Albion. So I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there. And the other 2 3rd graders really want to stay too. So if it could possibly be expanded in the years, they would love that. So
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak?
I'd like to speak.
Sure.
My name is Jamie Placido. I can kind of speak for both sides. I went to Albion School for a majority of my K-8 years. The problem I see here, and it's not the community that's fighting each other, it's budgetary constraints from the federal government, the state government, all the way down. Mendocino County is one of the poorest counties in the state, and so it all comes down to budget pinches, and the school is seeing it. Frankly, I would vote against keeping the Albion School open because of the resources that it's going to take to keep those students taught and keep the school warm and keep the lights on. It's not fair. It's not fair. Why? It's not private school. There shouldn't be that much resources allocated for 5 students. There just shouldn't be. When, you know, we have kids here, in 1 year, 3 of those students are going to be in Mendocino, and now they're going to be screaming because all the programs are going to be cut. So it doesn't make sense.
Anyone else?
I'm Janet Eklund, and last meeting, which is May 8th, I asked the board a question about how much was being paid by one group that was using the facility now.
No one else can hear you, so wait till you're facing in the road.
Anyway, at the May 8th meeting, I asked the board one question about what's being paid to use the facility. One group, one question, Tai Chi, and they meet there, every week? I researched this, and they pay nothing. I have 6 different organizations that meet. They pay nothing to use the facility. Personally, I've used the facility maybe a half a dozen times, and I've paid $100 a day to use the facility. What I'm asking is, why not charge a fee? Albion Fire Department, Zumba, Tai Chi, Albion Community Advisory, Sierra Club, and Caltrans. There may be more, but if money is the issue, then why are we letting that beautiful facility be used without a fee? So that's my 2 cents. I'm sure I have more to say.
Thank you, Janet. Anybody else before I bring it back to the board?
I just want to comment very quickly. I'll just do it quickly from here. Do I have to?
Sure.
Okay. I just want to say, as far as, I've heard this a lot, it comes up a lot. It came up once again, way back when at the Greenwood School, about not knowing who the teacher was going to be. We very frequently, I have 2 children in the district. It is very common for us that we come to school and a new teacher, we don't know who our teacher is going to be. And so to think that, so I don't come here saying, well, I don't know who my teacher is going to be, so therefore I'm not going to send my kid there. That's not really an option for me. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind and keeping things kind of fair and square across the board. So,
But there are multiple teachers, so you do have somewhat of a choice. When you have multiple teachers,
No, you don't.
or not, you didn't know if the school was going to be
We're not
there
having
yet.
conversations in the audience. So at this point, I'm going to bring it back to the board. And I'm going to start off with my recitation, a little bit of what happened at the last meeting. And if I misspeak, I'm sure that my fellow board members will correct me. But we spent a lot of spirited discussion looking at the alternatives. And in addition to considering the superintendent's proposal, we considered a proposal that involved renting the facility at nominal rates to a private preschool. The majority of the board opposed that opportunity, that option. So we were left with a situation, from my point of view, that was pretty limited in terms of what our options were. I'm a strong believer in the outlying schools. I don't think kindergartners should be put on a bus for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour to get to a school in Mendocino. I also believe that the funding mechanism that we had before we were basic aid district, which was called necessary small schools, and our high school and the 3 outlying schools received their funding under that formula, is an obligation we still maintain. So we have more money now than we did when we were under that formula, and we've we still have the 3 outlying schools, we still have a high school. So obviously we're spending more money creatively on programs in Mendocino. And I think that's wonderful. I don't think that anything that we're talking about doing threatens those programs. The board has a reserve of, in addition to the money in our general fund, we took out the first year of roughly $800 and some thousand that we put in what we call Fund 17 to cushion an eventuality that might be happening in terms of the district of choice program being ended. So for me, it's not a zero-sum game where spending money in Albion takes money away from Mendocino. I think that we have the resources we can dedicate to this. The expectation is that in the following year, we think we have 8 more students coming in to that school location. So again, my personal concern was how do we guarantee the long-term viability of the Albion school? And to me, that involved sustaining a certain amount of momentum going forward. It meant, even though the numbers of 5 or 8 would not be optimal, that from my point of view, closing the school potentially would result in some of the things that people were talking about. People losing heart that there would be a school in 1890. At any rate, the motion that we voted on 3-2 last time was to keep it as is, not to go into any kind of public-private partnership, not to go into attracting students from a program that might attract students from outside the district. We felt that wasn't necessarily the base that we needed. And in order to reconsider this motion, one of the 3 who voted the prevailing side the last time has to make a motion to reconsider. And I guess I'm announcing here, I'm not going to make that motion. And so I'll pass it on to the rest of the board members to see where they want to go. No, you can't. You can comment on the discussion. Or not.
I have to comment about what has been said about our superintendent, because I think he's worked incredibly hard in coming up with a solution. I think a superintendent moving forward on the assumption that a community will attend the school that they value is reasonable. What started to happen in a conversation over here with Shanti and some other parents, I have 4 kids that have gone through school. I have never been able to select a teacher. And I don't base my school selection on the teacher that is due to teach the following year. So that is different. Not that parents don't have that right, they do. But parents from Albion have selected to come to Mendocino. instead of staying in Albion. Again, reasonable and their choice. And parents are saying, well, we didn't know who the teacher would be, but most people don't know who their teacher will be the next year. And I'm not criticizing any of that. I feel like parents have the right. But to say that our superintendent fell short by not looking forward and acting quickly enough, I think that's not quite accurate. And I just have to speak on Jason's behalf and say that the moment this started to come to the surface, I think he's working incredibly hard and trying to come up with a very reasonable solution. So I have to say that. Anyway, as I said, I can't be the one to change the vote, and it doesn't. The way I voted doesn't mean I'm not incredibly supportive of the parents in Albion. We had a very long discussion. I tried to think of some solutions for the families down there. I think it's incredibly important that the community and those parents are advocating for their kids. And so anyway, that's what I want to say.
Charlie?
So I was one of the votes for the motion that passed. And a couple of things that I don't think have been said is I look at the district as a unified district, and there's these outlying, which were formerly little school districts under themselves that conglomerated together to become MUSD. And so and I don't know how long ago that was. It was quite a while ago, but 64. But I believe that the district takes on a certain obligation to those outlying communities to, to see that those outlying schools are supported as well as they can. At the same time, I don't believe that a student population of 4 makes a viable program myself. My vote was, my intention was to try to hold the door open as long as possible so that the community, the Albion families have a greater chance to come forward with their students, and that we could get a more viable number, and maybe something in the range of 8 should be a minimum. As Shanti said, that we don't have a policy on it, so it's like that was the number that was used when the Greenwood preschool was started. And quite frankly, we didn't meet that number right away, but now it's up to, I don't know, a dozen or so students. And so it does take time to build things up again. And then the timing of a hire, I think it is incredibly unfair to whoever may apply for that job and then find out before school opens that, there's not enough population to support a program. And so that position would be pulled, or those 2 positions would be pulled. So anyway, what I advocate beyond the vote is to maybe refine it to look towards a date certain that a final decision would be made, whether to keep it open, whether the population was there, and in consideration of the new person being hired. And Michael covered the necessary small school funding aspect of it, and I think that is important to consider because, as I understood it, the outlying schools were actually adding money to the district until we changed over to basic aid. But it was like such a huge difference in the amount of money that came to the district. Sitting there, looking at the figures on the board, a couple of us at least commented that, all right, so we're going to get overall much more money, but we shouldn't penalize the outlying schools because the decision we made actually gives us more money overall. So it's like a historical fact that in the conglomeration, the formation of the unified school district. And then early on, I heard a rumor, and it's never really been substantiated to me, but as we know, SB 277 was implemented, and so there was a vaccine requirement, and the rumor was that there were families that were not interested in vaccinating, so therefore they would homeschool or keep their kids out. And we did a symposium on that, and one of the things we learned is there's a pro bono legal advice available to a parent or even a district, anybody, on that issue and how the laws actually figure it in and what is left in terms of any options like a medical exemption and how the legal exemptions are grandfathered in if they occurred before the date the law was implemented. So anyway, so all in all, that's the main thing in my mind is to give Albion families an opportunity to comb through the numbers and encourage those that may be on the fence or have reasons that can be addressed to come forward while there is still time. But I don't believe the school district can take forever or right up to the opening of the school to make this final decision. It seems to me it needs to be sort of towards the close of this school year, in other words, next month.
Charles, do you happen to recall the numbers of students in the Elk School the years before we closed it? Because it seems to me that they were under 10.
Yeah, they've gone back and forth between 6 and 8. 6 and 8 and 10.
So we ran a program in Elk with 6 students per year.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but and then on that year that it closed, so now we were in a much more difficult economic situation. That was after the 2008 real estate bubble, and it finally came home to had severely affected our basic aid funding because of that we're connected to the property taxes. So when properties became devalued, so to speak, it was a huge hit on the budget. So it was a much deeper and more profound economic hit at that time. And then, but there was sort of, shall we say, a discussion going on between families with potential students and the administration at that time. And yes, parents wanted to know who the instructor would be, but they also wanted to know that there would be a program. And so I watched in my community as people made other choices rather than go to Greenwood, so that it became a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy or a catch-22, where if the school isn't available, then nobody's going to sign up for it. So I didn't want to see that happen again. I wanted to see the door held open for a little longer. Now I think if people haven't heard about this subject yet, then you're not listening. And so here we are, where the time moves so fast, quickly into the new school year. It's like we're just about to have graduation, and then school's going to start up pretty rapidly. And so it's too soon to start a preschool program. It takes a lot of time to set that up. So anyway, that's my encouragement, is to have the members of the Albion community that are sitting on the fence or undecided to come forward and then reassess that number at, say, the closing of the school next month, and reassess it then.
So not a teaching position?
No, yes, put it out, but that's the fine line of sort of planning the calendar for that. Jason and I talked about it a little bit, and there's certain logistics involved that I'm not ready to review, but some consideration for that new hire or those new hires needs to be made, so that we're not putting them out unnecessarily. It's better.
Well,
I'm holding the same position I had for last meeting, perhaps more so. I think it's a mistake to be focused on September. I think we have a bigger problem, a couple bigger problems. One of the bigger problems we have is district-wide, the declining population. You know, that we went from basically 1,000 to 500 students over 17 years. And in terms of COMSHE and Albion and the preschool and health, I think we need to put a lot more energy into planning for the future of those sites. I very much support the outlying schools. It's a part of our district culture. It's unique. It's not true anywhere else, and we are a very rich district. People may not know that, but we have close to twice as much money as most districts in California because we're basic aid. If we were not basic aid, we might still have the outlying schools because of what people keep bringing up, that special formula. But we probably wouldn't have a high school. Your Albion students would be going to high school in Fort Bragg because our budget is, what, $7 million approximately? We would have $2.5 million less if we weren't basic aid. I don't see what you cut that's $2.5 million other than the high school. That'd be a sad day. So we're very well off, but we're not so well off that we can do anything. Oh, sure, 1 student here, 4 students there. It's going to impact other programs. We are deficit spending, and I don't see a picture with or without district of choice that shows how we're going to get out of that over the next 3 or 4 years and still maintain all the programs we have and improve salaries, which is a constant issue that we're not talking about. We have a very rich staff. I don't mean the people, I mean the staff. I tend to get in trouble looking at the J90. The J90 is a document put together by the California State Department of Education. They collect information from every district in the state every year, and about 95% of the districts get their paperwork done and get their information in, and it tells you how many FTEs there are in each district in California. That's full-time equivalents. So if there are 2 half-time teachers, that's 1 FTE. It also counts speech teachers, it counts special ed teachers, art teachers, PE teachers, anybody with a certificate who's working in the school. It's not just classroom teachers. It also shows how many ADA there are in every district. That's average daily attendance. And so you can download that data from the state, which I've done, and 17 years ago I discovered we had the most poorly paid teachers in California in our district, that 99.9% of the teachers in California had a higher top salary than our district did. We've made some progress since then, not enough. Our teachers are still some of the lowest paid teachers in the state. So that is an issue that we have to keep thinking about. 98% of mid-career teachers in California have a better salary schedule. 98%. So, you know, people talk about taxpayers in Albion or Greenwood or COMSHE paying for their school, and I agree with that, but teachers are paying for it too. And as a matter of fact, our district has more staffing per student than almost every school district in California. There are 5,174,000 students in the J90 who have less teaching staff and 2,000 students who have more. 99.5% of the kids in California have less teaching staff to support them than our district. So I still think we need more. There are many needs in our district that we haven't filled, but we have to balance things out. And so hiring a teacher in a situation like this just doesn't make sense to me. I don't feel, knowing this information and looking at our budget, that I can support any new hires in this district going forward. I've supported them all in the past. We hired a social worker, which we desperately need, and I voted for that. And we have aides in all the classrooms, which is the first time that's happened in the K-8 since the 1970s. When I was teaching here, we had aides in every classroom. And then I remember sitting in this room right here when Prop 13 passed and the school board was trying to decide if we were going to sink or not. And then a lot of those things went away. And so we've been very lucky to be basic aid. We weren't at first. When you first go into basic aid, you're not much more well off than you are not being in basic aid, but over the years you grow to the point where you get almost a reasonable amount of funding for your school district. So we're very lucky, and we have a lot to be grateful for, that we're even having this discussion, that we're not talking about closing the high school. It's amazing. And I think we need to think about our budget, and we need to not think about these things in isolation. If we hire a teacher for that school for next year, another program is going to close. I disagree with Michael. Over the next couple years, we're going to have to cut programs. There's no way around it. You can just look at the budget. The deficit spending slope is steep enough that I don't see a way out without making some adjustments. And so I think it's difficult when we consider things in isolation, because we're not. Every vote we make affects something else. And so I still feel the way I felt last week. And I would go with Charlie's idea as a compromise, if we could at least move it to a limit on size, because I think we get lost in what I've been talking about, the money. And thank you to teachers for bringing up the pedagogical issues. I taught 8 kids at Greenwood School one year. It wasn't a big enough class. There were a lot of things we couldn't do.
Winsberg.
Just to make a point, aren't we only talking about hiring a teacher, filling a position of a retired teacher, not adding a teacher?
I think if you were, another way to look at the budget, you could say you're hiring a teacher at the beginning level.
And we just heard of another
Retiring teacher was at the other end of the scale.
Beyond that, I appreciate what you all said and what the community has said, and it's still in the same position. I'm not going to waste any more time.
Emily.
Okay. So after the 3.5-hour meeting, which is very long, I got right in the car, and on the ride home, I was still talking about it with my mom, just because there's so much to consider. And I kind of wish I had more time to think about it. And then I realized there's one person that has, and it's Jason. And I think what influenced me a lot, my thought, is that he has a lot of perspective that we don't have. He has 3 months of perspective and collecting information that we don't have. Additionally, I think that there's a lot of stuff that's not concrete and a lot of stuff that seems risky to me. And as the representative of high school, I think that's scary to jeopardize or potentially jeopardize a lot of the programs that we have like set. They're doing a lot of good in creating students like Jim in Montana that can come back and talk to us and be humorous and great. So I think that there are a lot of options that a lot of people have brought to keep the momentum, but I don't think that keeping it the way that it is the right choice.
Do you want to say anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
Can I just ask, Charlie, was that a motion you made to have a vote next month, or was that in the form of a motion?
I think Michael's gonna jump in.
It wasn't then, but because this is discussion, it might, just stay tuned.
So I will ask if anyone wants to propose a motion. And I'll leave this open to anyone. I mean, in terms of the actual motion we passed last time, as I said, it takes someone on the prevailing side to change it. But obviously, you could make a motion that wasn't directly in that same thing and see if you got a second and a third, if you want to do it. Or if you want to just leave it the way it is and see what happens. So Charlie?
From my point of view, we've heard a lot. I've been going to the Albion subcommittee school meetings and have heard a lot from the staff. And so I think I see both sides of the issue pretty clearly. And what it sort of boils down to is numbers and dates. And so if it seems appropriate that we have a target figure for a viable number of students, and then a date by which that decision is made. And I wouldn't make that motion until we have some discussion of what the number and the date might be.
Could I suggest to Charlie a motion?
Sure.
I would suggest that we reaffirm what was voted 3-2 last time, with the addition that the school would only be open, a couple additions. Number one, the school would only be open next year if there were 8 students by June 30th. If somebody can say a different date, I'm just going to throw out June 30th. And the district develops some sort of structure next year to deal with this larger issue of the 3 outlined sites and the future planning, and really put some energy into it. I don't know how to put that in words.
Okay, we're still in the formative stage. Any comments?
Well, I think that what we're left with, because I would agree with that number 8 was the number we used at Elk. I know it's a low number, but hopefully there'll be more. And you're not going to get more if it's just closed. So that's my reasoning with keeping something open. And then the actual date that the decision would be final, as I said, Jason and I had an informal discussion about this, but I don't know enough about the hiring schedules and so forth to know what would be appropriate, because I don't want to see any the teachers or the aides be sort of led down Rose path and then pulled up short after they've made plans with their own life how to teach in that position. So I think a date and a number are appropriate. Student number and date.
There was one parent that spoke that asked about our 3rd grader returning to 4th grade. Would that be an option with the small numbers?
I think the issue we've had with mixing 3rd grade and 4th grade is that they have different schedules. The state requires a different number of instructional minutes for 4th graders as opposed to 3rd graders. The last time I think the outlying schools did that, we had a year where Comsey School went through 4th grade. Jerry Staley went out, but he basically had enough kids in that class to do it as a 4th grade class, and it was partly to relieve crowding here at the K-8 school. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done. I'm just saying that, as a way of getting numbers, I just know that there are issues, especially if you have kindergarten through 4th grade.
Okay.
It would be problematic. Go ahead.
Well, I think we're starting to muddy things by adding grades right now. I think we're trying to boil it down to something less complicated. If you're interested in the 4th grade issue, what Mark is saying, let's really examine, what's going on with the outlying schools. But I would encourage us not to start complicating things by adding grades.
I guess, I probably very long period of time, I mean, a year max, but I could see having, I mean, I think that, to me, declaring an intention to keeping the school open is the primary thing I want to, message I want to have. And if the, entering into it a year from now, we weren't able to get any numbers up, I would be sadly disappointed and have to revisit that reality. At this point, I think it makes more sense to, we've got 5, potentially more. Go ahead and assume that that's in place. I mean, I think that was what, I don't think you're going to sustain momentum by keep extending the deadline.
Agree. I agree too. I mean, I'd like to see, you get in a position like this and you're trying to police both sides, and so I'm trying to integrate as much of the opposing issues as I can. But
well, I mean, I think that one of the, groups of people who were not happy with our decision last time were the group that wanted to, bring in the Montessori school, preschool, and whatever. We pretty much shut that down at the meeting. And so we didn't adopt their preferred solution. We didn't adopt anybody's preferred solution. We adopted what we thought was going to get us through, for that 1-year period. Now, subsequent to that, we had lots of pushback from our staff, which I respect very much. And I don't want to, not take it into account. But I know we have run a program with under 10 in Elk for at least 2 or 3 years before it was closed. And those issues weren't raised at that point in terms of the program not being a good academic, viable program for those kids because they were under 10. And I'm not, totally persuaded now that that's, a given. And, for all the reasons I said, I think that we can financially support outlying schools even with limited populations.
I disagree, and I'd like to suggest that Charlie put forward his motion anyway, if he's willing to.
Well, in the interest of
and then I have other motions after that.
That's fine.
Or directives that I'd like to talk about.
I think,
sense of the board.
sure. I'll open it up to, if you want to make a motion and you can get 3 votes for it, let's go.
Robert's Rules of Orders or whatever you're going on, you said...
No, I said if we were going to reconsider, if we're going to vote to reconsider what we did last time, it had to be one of the prevailing people. But if you want to put new limits on that motion...
That's different.
That's different.
Then I would move that we reaffirm the motion, the last board meeting, with the addition that the school would be closed for 1 year only. That can always be changed either way. I don't want to be, misperceived. But that the school be closed for 1 year only if we don't have 8 students by June 30th.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'm going to just stay where we were.
Do you want to second it so it can be voted on, or do you not want to?
I don't second that.
Okay.
Okay. Then
If that motion fails for lack of a second,
move on to sense of the board. I may lose on this one too. I would like it if the board could ask Jason to do his very best to fill that position with existing staff. I think that it's too much of a budget issue right now, and it's going to have other serious effects if we don't pull in our belt a little bit. I think there are very positive possibilities for that, and I would leave it open that if that can't work, then it's not like a motion, it's not like it has to, but I would ask if 3 board members would support these.
My feeling is that that's more, my feeling is that filling more into the concerns of,
Speak up loud.
yeah, it's filling more into the concerns of all this faculty that has spoken. You're drawing away from this site and the other site potentially.
Well, we are anyway, just in voting to keep the school open because we're going to have to cut something, if not this September, then the following September, because the budget is not good.
My limited reading of the budget does show that. I spoke with Jason in his office last week. I know we're looking at possibly some.
There are many things that aren't in the budget yet, and I think if you look 3 years out, which is really important, it's going to be in the hole. A budget is a document of assumptions, and it took me many years to learn that. It's not truth. Either way, it's just a set of assumptions, and you're debating assumptions. So, everybody's right when they look at the budget, really. And I just feel like some of the assumptions are too liberal.
So, Mark, to broaden your suggestion or sense of the board, we look to Jason to mitigate the financial cost of our decision in any way possible.
I vote yes on that. If I couldn't get, three votes on what I said, then yes.
It's just an interesting thing that we would direct Jason to do which he already is planning to do. Jason, that's what he does already. He works on trying to shuffle things around and prevent excessive costs. It's just an kind of vote. It's not, to me, it's not a vote of confidence that that's exactly what he's doing, that he needs the best interest for the board.
No, I think, he hasn't made it clear. I mean, Jason, after our vote last time, sent me an email that night saying it was not what he would have chosen to do, but he could understand why we did it, and he fully was going to implement. And I think that we all want to do it in the least expensive way possible.
Well, also, when we put out a position, the first attempt is from a district. That is what, right? So it's already being presented as an internal position. So I don't know. It just seems an odd thing to vote on.
I think we have to vote.
No, it wasn't about voting.
Just want to make sure we were all on the same page. It seems like we are.
And then my next thing, which is also not about voting, is just to have a focus for next year, be some sort of planning process that involves looking at the 3 outline programs.
Mark, could you share with us a little, verbally? I can't really hear you.
Couldn't hear.
Oh, sorry. My other suggestion is to direct Jason next year to come up with some process to look at the 3 outlying sites long-term in terms of planning, because I think it's a false positive to look at keeping the school open in September as that's what's going to make the year after better. I think it's going to make it worse because everybody will get sleepy.
But that's
And if there's a little tension, if we're looking at 3 programs that are threatened, then maybe we can come up with a long-term solution that's going to guarantee that you're not all back here next May.
But that's your separate proposal.
Yes, that's totally.
Things as they are.
It's not even a motion for a vote. It's a directive to the superintendent, because I think we really need to do that.
I also would like to look at what if we have a teacher that's gone down there and the students decide that's not the teacher that they want. Are we going to end up wanting to say if it's under 3 children that we're not going to move forward with this program? Like, I don't, because it seems so heavily weighted on who the teacher is. So let's say we do have a teacher and the parents in that school decide that's not the teacher they want. So are we going to, and they don't attend, like, what was it, if they're
That's
only...
a separate issue from what I'm talking about.
Right, oh yeah, no, I'm just saying, you know, that, do we have to look at what if it's 2
I
kids?
think it's borrowing, anticipating further rail.
I don't think that's a board job. I think that's an administrative job to manage staff. And I think we need to leave that in the hands of the superintendent and principal.
So we don't want a minimum of 2 kids at this school, like, we don't want to have a created minimum for next year?
I don't want to discuss who the teacher is in terms of the board putting in input as to who the teacher is.
No, I'm not talking about choosing the teacher, I'm saying, like, let's say a teacher is put in that school and the community decides to pull out a child, then if we have under 3 kids, or do we have to look at this again if we have under 3 children?
I think that the superintendent can always bring it to our attention if he thinks the program should be reconsidered.
Okay, that's fair.
So, I'm sensing that we've agreed to still disagree and continue with our decision of May.
Yes, but what about this other?
And then we're going to direct Jason then to come back with a proposal for how he wants to study the outlying schools in the long term. Okay? All right? Done that. Thank you all. You helped us. So we're going to go next to item 8.3. Jason, you want to speak to this? We're considering forming an ad hoc committee for the winter's focus on providing direction to staff regarding the negotiation of acquisition of customers and equipment for Pacific Unit.
Sure. So MCN is considering negotiations with Pacific Internet to acquire customers, and we've been advised that the best way to handle this is to form a board ad hoc committee to carry out those negotiations. So 2 members would volunteer or be nominated to serve on the negotiations team with me and Sage Statham, the manager at MCN, and then we would come back. So we would work as a team, and then we would come back and give the board the proposal once we are finished. So that's about it. But we would like to begin this, we'd like to have our first meeting by the end of, by June 2nd. So we'd like to get started as soon as possible.
Is there anybody who particularly wants to be on that committee?
I would do it. If Charlie really wants to be on it, then I would see, or if you do, then he
I ask you all to speak up because this is a big room and your voice is just going, yeah.
I'm curious, I need a background. Is Pacific Internet going out of business? What exactly is going on?
Yeah, the owner of Pacific Internet is considering retirement in time. Right. And he's looking to sell his customers and or his business. We're interested because we sell similar products.
I'm a client of Pacific Internet.
Oh, okay.
I'm just curious. What's going on? I haven't known.
That's of interest,
Well, in terms of the committee, is it limited to 1 board member?
It's 2.
I think it's 2 board members.
2, yeah. Well, I would, being a long-time MCN committee member, I would look forward to being on that committee, but I think there's a member.
Well, I think Michael would like to be on it too.
Okay, well.
I have no interest.
So how do, on the one hand, I'd sort of like to say that you guys have been, all the background, having served the last couple of years on the committee more than I do, but on the other hand, I have a pretty strong interest in being on that.
Well, you were on it for a long time too.
Right.
Whatever.
either way, and, you know, I'm not steadfast that I need to be here. In fact, I can sit in, you know.
Hey, Jason, what do you want?
Yeah, a third board member can go to the meetings and not, and put tape over it, not. I've done that.
Okay, so do I have a motion to nominate 2 people?
Or can you just,
I could just pick the 2 people, but, you know.
I wouldn't hate you if you didn't take it.
All right. But I think if you're looking for 2, I would suggest you and Lauren.
Okay. So we'll go with that.
Okay.
All right. That's.
And I'm available as an alternate.
Charles is an alternate. So I'll offer, Charlie has made that motion and Mark seconded it. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So Kim, we're back to you.
All right. Round machine. So you guys got copies of this in your board packet, so I'm not gonna give them to you. Alrighty. So one of the things that Jason and I talked about last year was developing a multi-year plan for the K-8 school. And so I'm just going to kind of give a brief overview and maybe answer any questions you guys have about it. This is a working document, something that has been changing quite frequently, just as we get new information or decide what we want to do with some of the items on it or how we want to do it. So I just want to put that out there up front. A little bit of history about how it came about is we put a survey out in the fall to try to get input on what families, community members, staff were interested in and kind of give us direction on where we wanted to go with the plan. Then I met with our leadership team and we kind of culminated all the information, broke it down into different categories and worked together to kind of come up with developing a plan or items that we wanted to or it looked like other people wanted to focus on. I worked with the staff on the plan, had several different community meetings, worked with the PTO, got feedback from them on the plan. And so then ended up with the document you have in your hands. Our hope is to, one of the other pieces that we did with this, which I didn't put in the packets that you guys have, is we decided that we wanted to develop kind of workable and measurable goals to keep us focused on the plan. Also, very easy often to create a plan and then not think about it until we have to review it the next year. And so we really wanted to come up with just focus goals and things that we can measure or check off the list. So that's something that we developed alongside it too. One of the main things that we wanted to do is really tie it to the strategic plan of the district. So that was one of the things that the leadership team and staff looked at when we were going through the plan and how it relates to what the district vision is for us. And so there is a copy of kind of just the overview, the front sheet of the district plan. So we came up with 3 main goals, and our first goal, go a little bit more, just that picture. Yeah, is to engage and support families. And one of the things that came up was developing an outreach program that supports low-income families. This was something that was kind of developed both from the staff point of view and community point of view. How can we get low-income families more involved in the school? How can we support them with the kind of skills and supports that they need for students to succeed? We considered the social worker position as part of that, and you guys will see in our kind of measurable goal piece that we had a lot of discussion around how that fits into this and where that person should live, what should their role be, and so there was a lot of discussion about that and had a lot of action items around that one. We want to provide opportunities for families to engage and interact with the school. And so that's something that since I've come into this position that we have really worked at kind kind of engaging families and trying to bring them into the school, increasing our attendance at back to school night, family nights, and it's something that we're constantly talking about, ways to get people to want to come to those events. One of the, I would say, most productive evenings is our family math night. One of the things we discussed is having the kids be the driver for bringing the families in. If the kids were tasked with teaching a math game to their families that they wanted to share with that, then they would want to, have the conversations at home. We want to go, we want to show you guys this. And so that has been very successful for us. One of the things that I also want to point out on here is that an active PTO, and that's something that is new to our school site within the last 5 years. Thank you to Christy Olsen Dave. I know she was here, but she was a big impetus in organizing that group of people. And we've always had kind of a parent group that loosely met, a few parents here and there who were active over the years, but that's been a very solid organization. And I do get good feedback from them. They have good ideas. They're definitely in support of the school, teachers, students, and coming up with ways to help the school run. So that's one that I want to put out there. Also maintaining effective home school communication. This is something that we are constantly working toward. Sometimes it feels like no matter how much you put it out there, there's still questions about, what day is that event happening, or what time, or I didn't hear about that. So really how to make sure that we are getting the word out or having opportunities for families to come in. One of the things that I really enjoy about working in a small school is that it is easy to get in touch with teachers, administration. A parent can walk in almost any day and find me accessible and or teachers accessible. So it's something we want to continue. On to goal number 2. To build and maintain a positive school community. This is something that is very important to me personally, but it's kind of a push from everyone, students, staff members, and parents and community members. One of the things that keeps coming up among the staff and among the parents sometimes too is the first bullet there, is develop a systematic and consistent process for students and staff to prepare for the school campus. There's lots of ideas around this and student care and of the campus, and then being engaged in keeping that. And so these are just some items that have come up for us, either from the community through the survey or in discussions and staff. Lost and found is always an issue. There are amazing amounts of clothes that go through this school, and so organizing it, getting it out there for parents to pick over has been a struggle for us. Darcy has kind of taken it on this year as her personal project, and so she has kept us afloat with the Lost and Found this year and keeping it organized. One of the main things also that came up across the surveys and staff input was the playground equipment. We are down one playground right now, and so really wanting to get something up for that, and Otto and I are definitely working on that. And then also the grass field space. One of the things that we have been struggling with, and I know it's kind of nature, we were facing a drought the last few years. The grass field becomes very dry and hard, and it becomes a danger zone sometimes to kiddos playing on it when they feel like they should be able to go out and play or do activities that would the soft grass or a nice grassy field would really sometimes it's more like playing on asphalt. So finding a way to do that. Creating opportunities for cross-age activities. This is something that, again, being a K-8 school, we have a unique opportunity to have kindergartners through 8th graders working together. And we do hold a couple events every year for students and their K-8 school families to get together and work together. And it's something I think everyone at the school values, and we would like to do more of it. Developing student mentor opportunities. So this is something we talked about kind of all around, student to student, and then also community member to student. And I know that we had been working a little bit on developing a an adult community member student mentor program. And so looking at how all of those pieces fit together, but it's definitely something that we want to keep focused on. And then we are a PBIS school, and that's something that we are constantly having to look at, review, change, and just kind of keeping that at the forefront of our minds. Often I find that it's very easy to get on board with something when it begins and everyone's excited about it, and then things taper off. So figuring out how to make that new and how to add to it over the years. And then something that came up across a lot of the different areas was providing humanitarian opportunities for students. So kind of giving them the opportunity to do something or put something back into the community. We've seen that come across in our PBL projects quite frequently. The students want to do something in support of a community organization or a particular set of people. And so providing more opportunities for our students to be able to access those things. Goal number 3 is to provide a rigorous and diverse academic program. One of the things that we have been focusing on and would like to continue to focus on is ensuring that students become proficient writers. And so I know that I've been reporting a little bit on our K-5 writing assessment. The 6-8 has been installed in doing the writing assessment for many years, and so expanding that to the whole school and how that looks. And then also, what do you do with that information? How does that guide teaching and instruction in the classroom? We also have lots of discussions as a staff around providing enrichment opportunities for our students. We kind of have lots of ideas around our elective options for the 6-8, making sure that they're fresh, exciting for the students, and something that we don't quite offer. And then with the TK-8 Spanish position, I know that's something that we've looked at in the past, and that's something that still came across a survey, a language, and something that the staff and myself are interested in continuing to keep in mind as we kind of move forward here. And also generating opportunities to stretch the learning of high-achieving students. This is something that is always a challenge for teachers in the classroom. And so how can we do that with the resources we have and in the structure that we have? We are still working to implement the ELA math programs. Last year we adopted a new math program, K-5, and this year we adopted new ELA programs. And it's one of the kind of, I would say, hidden challenges for teachers that adopting a new program, a new curriculum is a big deal. And they often say it takes 3 to 5 years to really get to know that curriculum and that program and do it well. And so we have a very go-get-em type staff right now. And so we're interested in adopting 2 different curriculums side by side 2 years. And so really working around what do teachers need in support for their learning of the curriculum and delivering it to students. One of the things that came up as a big issue for some of the community members or parents was homework. It is a fun topic for me to discuss with the staff. We had a staff meeting recently where we did have a discussion around homework. And, as we see with families and parents and students, the staff is all over the board with homework ideals as well, from get rid of it, we don't need it, to we need a lot of it. So we had a very interesting discussion about it, and one of the things that we did was mapping out what do we do currently at different grade levels. And so I think that was something that interesting for the different staff members at different grade levels to see what is happening across the board. And so that's something we're going to be working toward, to see if we can come up with a consistent, kind of philosophy around homework. And then evaluate and maintain our special ed programs. And this is something that we're constantly doing. It's very much tied to the student population that we have at the time and the staffing. And it's something that I think we do very well at our site, and I would like to continue to do well. And it's something that changes on a daily basis. And so really staying on top of that and making sure that we are serving that student population to the best that we can. So I think that's
passed out to the board in terms of implementation on these things, or some of the steps you took along. And quite a few of them have already been accomplished, so why don't you summarize what you think, where you think you are in implementing those goals?
I think we're still very in the beginning stage, because even though some of the goals we have accomplished, a lot of them have just been around beginning discussions with staff on how we're going to do things, or checking in to see if an idea is viable. An example is we had talked about where to locate the social worker, and the possibility that it might be more beneficial to have that person off the school campus if she is working with families and they were nervous about coming onto school campus for whatever reason. Would it be more beneficial to that relationship and to try to get her to get students into school if it was off campus? And so, going down, and we took a field trip, the leadership team took a field trip down to the community center, because that was one of the ideas, that maybe she can be stationed there, and looked at the viability of that and talked with the staffing there. So a lot of it, I would say we're still in the very beginning stages of a lot of these things, and there's not kind of a measurable goal or action item for every single thing on that list. That was one of the things that we did as a leadership team, to kind of try to prioritize where should we start and what should we work on.
So, do you think you'll fill that out by, the start of the next school year to have some of those?
That's the hope. Yeah. Yeah.
I was very impressed with the goals and the way you articulated those things. And I'd certainly be wanting to be kept informed on how you're implementing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Any other comments, questions?
Having taught here, I just feel like there have been so many plans and reports and proposals we put together over the years. It's nice to see Jason's and this. They're really grounded. They seem real, functional, and not just words. I like the values.
Well, I took a lot away from it as well. We started this discussion last year, and we're so happy to see it come to fruition. And when I look at both what Tobin did with the college and career readiness, and how they had very specific targets for goals, and I thought, man, I should really incorporate more of that into the district's strategic plan. But then also to have the goals laid out, Kim, where you did, and then have actual, here's what we're going to do, who's going to do it, and by when is really helpful. So I'm going to take away pieces of both yours and Tobin's ideas and hopefully incorporate them into the next strategic plan. I think it's great. And then I also had the opportunity to look at the survey just briefly, and it seems to cover everything that was a concern. So, good.
Okay, we're up to 8.5, and Jason's going to provide a report on inter and intra-district transfer requests.
Okay, so each year by May 11th, families are supposed to apply if they would like their child to attend school in Mendocino Unified from neighboring school districts. So by May 11th, that's the cutoff. And then we're supposed to give them an answer by May 15th. So I needed to get something out this week, earlier this week. And so I went ahead and sent them all a letter that said, there's still a lot of questions regarding district of choice. We don't know what the future of that program holds. We'll know more soon, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So since then, so one of my main questions was, if the district of choice program does in fact end in July of 2017, would we get funding for one more year based on what we had in 2016-17? Or would the students who we accept this year for 17-18, would we get the funding for those students? And I believe I found out the answer that we would get the funding for those students who we accept this year for 17-18. So at that point, let's go to this one first, the other one. Sorry about that, Susan. I didn't clarify that. So we're ready to make some determinations as to who's coming. So this year we had 22 applications from Point Arena, Fort Bragg, and Anderson Valley. We had 3 from Point Arena, 13 from Fort Bragg, and 6 from Anderson Valley. You can see where the applications came from. 3 in kindergarten, 1 in first grade, and right on down the line. Almost 1 from every grade level. So that's first of all, that's a lot of applications. And they're also very spread out. Usually the bulk of them is at the high school. So also interestingly, there were no intra-district transfers from Kamshi or Albion this year. All right, so initially I was all set to have a number approved at 0. We were going to have a discussion as to how many we would let in. We will have a little bit of a discussion about that in the transfer policy section here. But after talking with Tobin and Kim, we think that we will be accepting 8 at the high school, and then kind of the last minute thing that didn't make it on the board here is that we are going to accept the 7th and 8th graders as well. We do have room in our 7th to 12th grades to accept transfers. And right now, the K through 5 is looking full, but we want to really look at the numbers to see if they are in fact full and if we are able to accept any. So they're going to get what we call no but letters, meaning no, we don't have room at this time, but we are currently looking at the projected enrollment, and we will get back to you in the early summer with the numbers and to see if there is room for your child. So now you can go on to the next page.
Looking at the 7 people in the K-3 category, I think we could send a letter saying that our space is opening out.
Right.
Yeah. 13 years,
Right.
I'd be curious to know what the cost would be of a bus going in the opposite direction. In other words, I've never seen a bus going out here.
Well,
just brainstorming.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even logistically possible, because, you know, if we are going to, if someone's available to take that run, how early they would have to pick up kids in order to then do the Albion run and turn back. So if it's a separate driver, then I don't know, I can't off the top of my head tell you what the
something to
you might, do some research and send that out in the
Well, I can say that we have an extremely difficult time finding drivers. So that's one issue that we have had, but it's a possibility. So the next page tells you exactly where we are for 16-17. We have 82 students in this program, 69 from Fort Bragg, 9 from Anderson Valley, and 4 from Point Arena. If we were to accept the high school kids, so 17-18 has the high school kids in it, we would have 80. See the numbers there. And if we accepted the 2 middle school, we'd have 82, right where we are now. Although there's an increase, kind of doubled from Point Arena, and just to point out that we don't get any money from the students from Point Arena, but it does add to our numbers at the high school, and so that helps to keep those numbers up.
So in terms of the K through 6 applications, were they all for Bragg?
There were, this one, that's actually, yeah, so none from Point Arena. Well, you know what, I have it right here. Drop that in case you have questions. I like that. So we had, for K through 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of them were from Fort Bragg, and 3 from Anderson Valley. For K3. No, 2 from Anderson Valley for K3, 1 is 4th grade.
So these kids are been approved by their given districts?
Not all the time. So it's sometimes
They
it's.
still have to, once we say yes, then they still have to go before their board.
Yeah, although the actual law about district of choice doesn't require them to get permission from the sending districts. But we can't go over a certain cap currently. We can't take too many Anderson Valley kids or Fort Bragg kids. But they technically don't have to get permission, but we like to work with our districts, our neighboring districts, communicate that. Hey, they're coming.
Could I just ask you to verify something I thought I heard you say, which that district of choice funding would be available for the 17 year?
Yeah, for the 80 minus Point Arena, so 72.
Why Point Arena? No?
Because Point Arena is a basic aid school district, just like us. So we only get the money from the state.
No.
Yeah.
And we didn't necessarily know that before, right? We were looking at district of choice phasing out altogether.
No. Yeah, we did that.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
I think this is another interesting issue about money. We get 70 cents on the dollar for what the home district would get. So if you look at we got $340,000 this year. So over $100,000 is being subsidized by Mendocino taxpayers, Mendocino school district taxpayers, to support having out-of-district students come in, just to bring them up to the level of what their home district gets. But since we already pay more per student, the actual subsidy is even higher. There are a lot of programs that we run that aren't terribly cost effective. We have our special day class costs a couple $100,000. We have subsidies to our luncheon program, $55,000. There are a lot of things that we do that don't pencil out in terms of the most efficient way to run. We're not running a business. We're trying to create, wonderful educational programs for all the residents in the district. And one of the reasons we take students from outside the district is to make sure we have more bodies, especially in the high school, making those classes more diverse, more opportunities for electives, and all those other things. If you cut out those 80 students, you can just do the math, that's 4 teachers probably. Based on our FTEs, it's probably even 5 teachers. So that's why we traditionally, for as long as I can think of, going back, Mark, your brain is bigger than mine, but we've had roughly 15 to 25% of our students from outside the district for 25 years.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Yeah,
Well,
more than
if you're going to go down that road, then we can't then turn to the community and express concern of losing the funding for these transfers. It works both ways. We're saying, oh no, we're concerned because we're losing, the district of choice funds, and so it doesn't work both ways.
Well, I think
what you're saying is, where we lose money because we're 70 cents on the dollar. But we do benefit from district of choice, and to the point that we've been panicking, oh no, we're going to lose our district of choice funds. So it's a mixed bag. I don't know if we can say that, well, actually, we are using tax dollars from Mendocino to support these kids, and it's not necessarily a moneymaker when we've been saying for many months now that we're very concerned about losing the program.
I hear what you're saying. Maybe I should have been more careful in the way I expressed myself.
No, I just wanted to not, it seems, confusing, I think, when you, this is a program actually that it's not, a good business decision when we've in so many meetings now, we're talking about the concern of losing the money.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think that we have gotten used to having both the students and the money. And I know we talked before about what would we do if we didn't have the money. Well, we still have the students, and we haven't crossed that bridge yet.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
There is no black and white for this issue.
No, there isn't. Yeah, I agree.
But wasn't it what you were saying is, for example, the Point Arena students coming in?
So
That they don't bring their 70% ADA with them.
right, but
So,
the way district of choice operates, if you're a district of choice school, you can't just say, only if you're bringing money with you are you able to come in. You know,
I mean, if it was 80% from Point Arena, we'd probably close the program down.
I think you're probably right.
So, just to be a little sane here, you're saying we may not have room for some kindergarten, first, second, and third graders, but we have room in Albion.
That was
below.
mentioned, someone already mentioned.
Oh, not in here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just...
But they've requested to come to the K-8 school, so Michael suggested that perhaps I say we're
There's
full,
some-
but there is another school. in
Yeah, more
Albion which we
information
consider.
about what...
Right.
Right.
Okay, so the conclusion of your report is that you're definitely taking the applications from the 7th to the 12th grades.
That's, yeah, I mean, I haven't, we've talked about it, I've talked about it with Kim and Tobin, and just want to, so, I'm going to finalize that on Monday.
Could you say for the 85th time, what do we know about decision-making about DOC in Sacramento?
Well,
Date-wise?
the email that we got today basically said that staff, that means State Department of Education staff, has recommended to the Senate Education Committee that extension for 5 years of district of choice be included in the trailer bill.
Which has to be passed by...
Which is passed after the budget is passed, where they wrap everything up. It's not going to have a separate bill, is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be the way it's been done before, where they vote up and down a bill for extensions.
So the budget deadline is June 30th, but are they meeting their deadline these days?
Yes, the last few years they've done it before the 15th. And usually the trailer bill is a few days after that.
So we might know like...
Right.
So I don't have an idea about this at all, but if we do lose districts of choice, is the school district allowed to charge kids to come to their district?
No.
Not allowed to charge. The issue is, I think as Jason alluded to, the issue if they cease district of choice, what the implications would be. I mean, some people in Sacramento say any student who had previously been accepted as your student under district of choice will be paid for the duration of their career at your school. And then there are other people who say exactly the opposite. So we don't know, but the range is quite a bit. But I think what Jason is trying to do is protect us financially, because we always know that the capacity at the high school, and apparently now the upper middle school, is such that we can absorb additional students without impacting potential or disrupting class assignments. In this issue, if you wanted to, no. Okay. We'll go on to 8.6. And this is the second step in our three-step process about our MAD money, our Maintenance Assessment District. And one of the things, that when Janet Eklund was speaking earlier about why don't we charge fees to use our buildings, there are two responses. Even if you charged high fees, you wouldn't raise very much money. And number two, we collect a parcel tax from every property in the district, $30 a parcel. And part of the rationale for that is that we do allow community use of our facilities. And, especially for non-profit oriented activities. When they're profit oriented, we do a better job of raising the fees. So, this is the second step in in the three-step process. It's a resolution 2017-06, and it basically states that we intend to collect the assessments for during the year 17-18. We're giving preliminary approval of the engineer's report, provide notice of public hearing. This resolution is required in order to direct the staff to schedule a public hearing to be in June, to receive input prior to taking action to continue the implementation of the fees within the maintenance assessment district. So do I have someone who will make that motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 2017-06.
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. 8.7. So this resolution 2017-07 would authorize the superintendent to acquire surplus property from the California State Agency for Surplus Property. Do you have any things on your shopping list, or is this just a...
Just in case.
Just in case.
I remember many years ago, it used to be a real big deal for Jack Miller students. I think you have the maintenance. You go to Sacramento and get all these deals.
Okay. So do I have someone who will make that motion?
I'll move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving resolution 2017-07?
Aye.
Aye. 8.8, resolution 2017-08. And this delegates to the superintendent some of the board's authority to enter into contracts, their limitations for dollar amounts and whatnot. But basically, so that he doesn't have to bring it back to us each time, we give him once a year this authority.
This is so like we don't have to vote on whether to agree to the copy machine service person.
Exactly.
I so move.
It's been moved. That's Jessica seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's passed. Okay, so we're at 8.9. So this is first reading of board policies, and one of them relates to inter-district attendance. Another is in relation to debt issuance and management, and the third is in relation to student loans. So, Jason, do you want to speak to each of these? Or shall I ask the policy committee member to?
We didn't have it for
Okay.
So the main change in board policy. So the board policy in inter-district attendance, there isn't much change to that except for the main change is in the AR. So I think if we turn to the AR, where we've added a rationale for denying and revoking a permit. So that's on page 4 of 6 in the AR. So really, right now we have, like I talked about, a couple of issues with attendance, discipline that we would like to address possibly through the inter-district transfer process here. And that really number 2 is really the most important one. The student does not demonstrate satisfactory academic achievement, attendance, citizenship, or behavior. Also, number 8 is lack of cooperation with school and district officials by the parent or guardian. You can see that there are changes there, but we sought legal counsel as to what we are able to do, and then we discussed it as an admin team and just narrowed it down to these that we'd like to have there. That's the main change.
The debt issuance one is
That's a new
bringing us
policy.
up to conform with new state law.
Right.
And it's recommended by business manager.
Right. I don't have much feedback on that one.
So we'll move on to
Student wellness. We've adopted the CSBA recommended policy. The wellness committee thought it would be very important to, since since we're making an effort as a district and as a wellness committee to have sugar-free campuses for snacks for students. Oh, let's see what page is it on. There's a section in there. Give me a second, I'll find it. Where we give examples of healthy snacks. So, to add. I'll find it in a second. So examples, so school staff shall encourage parents or guardians or other volunteers to support the district's nutrition education programs by considering nutritional quality and selecting any snacks which they may donate for occasional class parties. Examples of healthy snacks include carrots and hummus, fruit, kebabs, popcorn, fresh fruit, and then the fact that class parties and celebrations should be held after the lunch periods when possible. So that's the only change we've adopted the CSBA policy. And, Charlie, I don't know if you had any thoughts about it or if you had a chance to read it.
Well, I did not completely, but as I was saying earlier, that I would like to listen input on that particular issue of sort of what the food we serve here, the SSI group.
So Charlie, would you, maybe I'll suggest this, since this is our first reading, that you think of how you would want to, might amend it, and we'll pull it off the consent agenda as a second reading for next time. And, but it'll be the second reading and we can adopt any changes.
Okay, and I'll try to get those out so that people could see that.
I agree, it would be good to be pesticide-free, and my only question is there any issue with food that we use that's donated by the government? Are we doing that still?
That was one of the discussions of the wellness committee is that, for example, Diane can't compete with the price of, say, grass-fed beef versus commodity beef.
Right.
I mean, it's a huge difference.
Right.
So it's, again, it's one of these issues that, now with one of the ingredients in that commodity food is that it's GMO raised or is likely GMO raised. And so is it worth the savings to be continuing to introduce something that's got now a known carcinogen in it? Or should we look at the policy and change it? Mind you, the state of California is listed it under Prop 65, but the EPA still thinks it's just fine, and the Food and Agriculture and so forth. So California is a lone voice in the wilderness other than the World Health Organization. So anyway, I will work on that diligently and bring something.
So when we discuss this, I would like to know what the cost difference is.
Well,
so I'll be reporting more on this in June, but the Wellness Committee would like to some of us take a field trip down to Berkeley. Berkeley Unified has gone completely commodity free. And so they have a network of farms and small-time growers that donate to the district on a regular basis. So they don't have to have any U.S. government commodity food. So we're very interested in that.
Great.
And they've been able to keep their prices reasonable through that.
And just to add on in that discussion, and I forget the name of the woman that was talking about it, the Berkeley program, but apparently there was a change in the overall health and attendance records and I don't know what else. But in other words, the kids were functioning better with better food. Well, we know that's what happens. So, it was just, we have to make sure, in my mind, make sure our policies, fit what we believe.
Therefore, I will entertain a motion to put board policy AR 5117 and board policy 3470 on next consent agenda, and then bring back board policy 5030, student wellness, as a second reading on the agenda.
Motion as you spoke it.
Second. Mark seconded.
When's first?
Okay, so then our next item.
We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. What was in favor?
What are you trying to get past?
We all seconded it, though.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. 8.10, we have two items of policy that are for information only, the first step in our three-step process, but maybe Jason can explain just a little bit of what's behind.
Well, I'll tell you why personal leaves is back on there. Because there was just recently a volunteer firefighter went on a fire call, and we had a question about whether it fell under the adopted policy. And we pulled the policy out, and it just, I don't know if it was something that we agreed on or if it was an error from us, but it seemed incomplete. The scenarios that we talked about, and also the fact that once they recognize that sufficient resources are there, that section is completely out of the policy. So it's back in there, in addition to the line that says teachers and staff members serving as volunteer firefighters will not neglect professional duties, including staff meetings, IEP meetings, departmental meetings. So it was just, it was supposed to be in there.
It wasn't a problem with the implementation necessarily, it's just that we went to look at it, couldn't find that.
Yeah, it was gone.
After we talked about it for 6 months.
Right, it was gone. And I think it might have been our error, obviously, because I don't know how it disappeared, but it needs to be in there. And then for resignation, just a simple change there. We changed that okay, so it's the first sentence of the third paragraph. The effective date of this resignation, shall be a date not later than the close of the changed school year to fiscal year. We felt like the resignation policy was good as is, other than that.
Is there a difference between the fiscal year and the school year? I guess there is.
Yeah.
One ends on the 30th of June, the other ends
2 weeks earlier.
All right, thank you. Are there things not listed under future agenda items that the board wants to bring to our attention?
I was curious for an update on the pump track. I know that's not.
I can do that.
If you were going with us on our tour, we specifically asked for that. We got it.
Did you get to ride?
What?
Did you get to ride a bicycle?
No. But it was, to be short, it was well used, but it was not a source of trouble. It wasn't being, it wasn't an attractive nuisance.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I will be in Miasa for the next board meeting with the school trip.
You got to call it.
Yeah, you need to.
So you're talking about the June 22nd?
Yeah, we leave on the 19th.
Okay. You'll be here for the June 8th meeting? Yes. Done.
I have a question. I don't know if it's agenda item worthy, but the school district website, it's been under construction since the school year started. The school year is ending. You can't even get a complete list of emails for staff on it. It just seems like, come on. I don't know who's in charge of putting that together, but it seems like it's...
We've had a lot of trouble working with the company, rolling it over. But whenever you have it under construction, you always have the excuse, right?
Yeah.
She said the pod had an excuse is over.
Yeah.
I think I agree with her.
That's a joke. Obviously, I'm joking. We'll look at it. If you want to let me know what exactly you see. I also have an idea. An idea was brought to me to have someone go through the entire website this summer and clean up the grammar, change. Just really we have a lot of grammatical errors, but also dead ends that I thought had been cleaned up, so.
The calendar's confusing too, like, in the old one, you used to be able to glance at the thing, now you have to hunt to find the calendar to glance at the events of the week.
As the person who used to manage that website with an even worse program, I can tell you that it's incredibly time intensive, and if you want it to work, it's never going to happen unless you put more money into time.
Right.
I was going to say, I don't even really care about it. How about just a complete staff email directory all in one spot for the whole school, for the whole district?
I used to be able to get that from the county school.
I know, but it just seems counterintuitive. Like, if you type in Mendocino Unified School District, everybody's email should come up. Okay.
Thank you all.